Hey, coming at you from the Bernice Hansen Center here, the virtual Bernice Hansen Center at Cornerstone University. I'm meeting with Spring 20 graduate Ian Kauffman and sport management major at Cornerstone University. And he is coming to me virtually from the hometown of Bridgman, Michigan, the home of the Bees. And excited about the opportunity to talk to Ian. He's got some experiences that he's gone through that I think have relevance to our sales and sports sales and marketing class. So welcome, Ian. Thanks for taking the time to be with me this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It should be fun.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do is we got a few questions that we're going to kind of engage on and interact with. And I think he brings some real world experience to NBA All-Star Weekend. He's attended 2 of those now. And what a great opportunity. And first couple of quick questions. As you well know, we're in the midst of kind of a pandemic with COVID-19 and so forth, and has really changed a lot of things. So the opportunity to be able to do this virtually is really a cool deal. So Ian, I'm going to ask you first, you're a sports management major and very engaged in sport. We're a standout high school athlete. I know in tennis, I believe in golf, you were engaged with kind of a historic basketball coach down in Bridgman as well.
Yep.
What do you think the value of sport brings to our world, our society, or maybe more specifically, someone who's in a sport management major or minor in college as a career? What's the importance of believers kind of diving into that world from your perspective?
I think it's a huge importance. I see a lot of people, just speaking from the All-Star Weekend perspective, there's a large group of organizations that are Christian-based that partner with other organizations to make different events special and make them have the ability to put them on, but also to have them have an aspect of Christianity and belief and that type of thing. So there's a breakfast that's sponsored by the Legends, which is the group that I go with. That my mentor is a part of the Legends and the Retired Players Association. And so they partner with Athletes in Action, which is a national group of people that have been reaching out. They do Campus Crusade, which is like the Christian organization throughout colleges, but also they partner with the NFL, MLB, and Major League Soccer, and NFL, MLB, and NBA organizations to just go in, do a lot of prayer, do a lot of community work, and it has a large effect on the All-Star game. Actually, there's a chapel service on Sunday that's been meeting for about 15 years. It's a really cool organization, and the partnerships that happen over All-Star Weekend are really, really special. And if you just walk past 1 or 2 of these events, you'll notice that there's definitely a Christian aspect, and that's something really special that I can see happening in the NBA and in sports in general. It's really a cool thing. Organizations like Athletes in Action are really making a difference and really going into these professional organizations that might not have a solidified core of Christian athletes.
That's awesome. Because, I mean, obviously we know how big sports is in our society, and the opportunities are there. And certainly we need strong believers engaging and involved in professional athletics, professional sports, collegiate sports, all the way down to youth programming. I mean, so the opportunities are really endless in terms of students pursuing a major in sport management.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I've seen, the effect that professional sports has on the younger generation. We see like everyone looking up to like the Jordans and the Kobes and the Tim Duncans and the Dirk Nowitzkis and that type of thing. And if they're involved in those type of organizations like Athletes in Action, or the Legends, partnering with them, then that has all the effect on their fans and the growing youth around the fandom of the NBA or NFL or MLB.
Yeah,
So, it
absolutely.
has a larger effect than just the athletes.
Yeah, yeah. It's certainly a great opportunity for sure. What do you think? I just heard this morning that Wimbledon, they just canceled Wimbledon, the Masters, March Madness. Every professional sport league is on hold right now. I mean, we literally, if you turn on Sports Center, you're just watching kind of, some of the great games of the past. I mean, they don't have a ton to really, in terms of programming. What effect do you think kind of this, like all of a sudden, it's like we're in the eye of the storm. There's just no sport going on. Do you think there's an impact that'll have, or what might it look, how would it look differently when we get back to our normal again?
I think when we get back to the normal, it's going to be madness. I think everyone and their brother is going to go to games. Everyone and their brother is going to watch games. I think going into the MLB season, I think this is really going to help Major League Baseball with viewership and attendance and all that type of thing.
And they were in trouble going into this. I mean, you think of the cheating scandal and the Houston Astros. I mean,
Exactly.
so you're smelling opportunity is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think people are just going to go stir crazy, and they're missing sports so much that they have to take advantage when it comes back. While it's back. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be booming when it comes back. But it's just so sad to see it not be here. I think the only thing keeping ESPN afloat right now is NFL free agency.
Yeah.
That all they can talk about.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a gut check. There's no question. There we go. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Let's move. So again, I think the opportunities will be there. And again, the value and importance of having believers engage with sport, I think will be even that much more important. So moving into last couple of questions here, but you were involved with the All-Star weekends with the NBA, one down in New Orleans, and then just this year over in Chicago. Talk to us a little bit about kind of that weekend. What was the experience like? I mean, you mentioned you were engaged with some of the organizations with Athletes in Action and the Legends and so forth. Just talk us through some of what that looked like experientially for you going into that, and what were your one or two biggest takeaways?
Yeah. So the first trip I took was the 2014 New Orleans weekend, not the 2017, because it got switched from Charlotte to New Orleans. So they did 2 All-Star weekends in like 3 or 4 years, which is kind of interesting. But to answer your question, the first one was more of, I'm a huge NBA fan, and I was a part of the fandom. I left Thursday and I got back Sunday. So it was more like the entire thing. I was, going to 3, 4, 5 parties and different events each night. And it was more for the fun of it. And then this year in Chicago was more about networking. And I had business cards, and I was talking to business professionals, GMs, business owners, that type of thing. So it was a great networking opportunity.
Yeah.
And I was just blessed to get in the front door by my mentor, Jim Grandhome, who is a part of the Legends. That's kind of where the organization I went with and was around the whole weekend. But yeah, that's kind of how it was different. It really taught me to just, you got to be yourself, but you also have to be professional. That's the biggest thing, because they can smell someone being not authentic from a mile away. They meet new people every day, so you have to make yourself memorable. You have to, spark up conversation and maintain that conversation throughout the process. But he's amazing to me. He's always saying, see that guy, go introduce yourself, or he's waving me over to introduce me to somebody else. So I have that resource that I can really rely on. And Yeah, it taught me a lot about just networking.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's really cool. And I think, I have a list of 5 people that I would run through a wall for that have been highly influential in my life. And I think everybody should create that list of top 5 or top 10, whatever. And the value and benefit of them speaking into your life is invaluable. So, one more quick question here for you, Ian, and take
Yeah.
as long as you want. We're certainly not in a huge hurry, but so as you were at the MBA weekend, more recently in some of the sport management classes, we've talked about advertising and promotions and sponsorships and ultimately kind of the financial business side of the sport, and how organizations like the NBA, through something like NBA weekend, All-Star weekend, are really building their brand and doing a lot of different things to engage fans. I mean, obviously it's about fan experience and corporate engagement and all of those things that really make the NBA tick. So what were some of the things that you observed or participated in terms of seeing advertising, promotional events, sponsorship, fan engagement, those types of things that that would have value for us to hear?
Um, I've spoken with Jim and a few other legends, and they said that this Chicago one All-Star weekend was one of the best they'd ever been to over the course of their 25 years, plus of them going. They said this is one of the best. So that was really high praise. I thought it was very well organized, very well just put together. The events were really geared toward the fans. They were really well managed and organized. So kind of how that works is there's a set schedule of different events for the legends, and it goes by day. And actually, our credentials that we wore around our neck had a list of everything that's going on from top to bottom. And yeah, so the first event that I went to was on Saturday, and it was the Legends brunch or breakfast, and you saw a partnership with Athletes in Action and the Legends. So the logos were kind of combined in a cool fashion that modeled the logo of the All-Star Weekend. So there was a partnership there that was the Legends was putting on the big event and bringing the big stars that you saw around, Bob Love, Jerry Colangelo, Matt Forte, former Bear, was the speaker, one of the speakers there. So a lot of big names sitting around the room, and then you saw Athletes in Action, where they're doing prayers, they're doing shout outs, they're doing some worship songs behind some videos. So there was the Christian aspect behind the entire event. So yeah, that was a partnership that was really obvious from that event.
Yep.
Yeah, so then that's kind of ties into the logos and promotions. Yeah, going a little deeper. There's this it's called the Legends Lounge, and if you're a legend or if you're a guest, you get wristbands and are able to go into this kind of big room with a bunch of people and a bunch
I'm
of
a
booths.
legend, Ian. Do you think I could get in?
Possibly. I mean, you never know. You
I'm a
know,
legend in my own mind.
maybe they'll let you in. So, yeah, no, there's a lot of corporate sponsors that actually come into the Legends Lounge, and that's where they can set up their booths, and they have people in there to answer questions or do anything like that. But no, they have the ability to really market their new product or their startup, or so that's kind of a big marketing opportunity for many small businesses, and
Yeah.
that's kind of
So
how they promote.
yeah, so they're ultimately, like we've talked about in our class, they're using this huge platform of the All-Star Weekend as a way to grow and build and uh, affirm their business, in their culture and in their business context, if you will. So it's a great avenue in order to do that.
Yeah, and actually this year was really, really cool. They actually had half a court, or not quite half a court, in the lounge.
Wow.
So there's chairs and stuff all around, and then booths along the back wall and like food and stuff. But there's also this court where they bring in, um, there's a group of young kids, young guys, and then a group of young girls, and then they kind of raise the age, and then, a group of older high school guys and older high school girls will come in after them. But they're all wearing NBA Cares shirts, and that's kind of somewhat of a branch of the Legends, because they're kind of tied in, and they have the ability to work with the Legends and put on different community outreaches and things like that. And actually, when I was in New Orleans, we actually did a little hoop summit where we went to like a little military base. It was like a boot camp type thing. So they stayed there, and then they did school as well. So we're just teaching these like middle to high school kids different drills and shooting with them and rebounding for them. So that was really cool. And that was through the Legends partnering with NBA Cares and doing kind of community outreach together as like one unit.
Yeah, and there's another good example of, community opportunities, community relations, that professional athletics have the platform and the ability to engage with communities and ultimately use sports redemptively in a great way. So kind of a cool thing. Any other final takeaways? And then I got 2 or 3 quick hitter questions that we'll close out with. I'm going to surprise you with 3. They're just quick ones, 1-word answers or whatever, but.
No, I think the logos and the partnerships, different events that I talked about was pretty much all that I wanted to hit on. And that was the biggest glaring application to our course content that I saw over the 2 All-Star weekends. So, yeah.
Good. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, Ian, to kind of give us an inside look at some of those events and some of the opportunities that it provides. And again, tying back to my initial question, the importance of believers actively engaging in sport, because as you know, there's good, bad, and ugly in sport. And we definitely need strong, well-grounded believers to be intentional in redeeming and using sport. And the one that I'm wrestling with, totally off topic, is, can believers ultimately redeem esports? Because that's something that is coming fast and furious and growing exponentially. We think Corona is growing, esports is growing kind of at that same clip. And how can believers engage in that? And that's always a good question. All right, here's my quick hitters. I got 3 for you, and we've not shared these with you, so we're going to get you totally unplugged here. So we'll see how it goes.
Reaction.
All right. NBA logo, will it ever change from Jerry West?
I think it will. I don't want it to, but I think it will eventually. I think that'll be, I don't know when or how, like, soon to like this moment it'll be. I think it will happen. I don't want it to happen.
So do you think that if it was MJ or Kobe, who do you think gets the nod? That's a tough one, isn't it?
It is a tough one because, Jordan has his logo.
Yep.
So obviously they wouldn't go with that. They would probably go with something like the last shot or a turnaround jumper, which could be Jordan or Kobe,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would just be.
Come on, make a decision. I need an answer.
No, I think it's both. What I think they do is I think they have a turnaround jump shot,
Hmm.
and people will argue for centuries about who it is, whether it's Kobe.
Maybe they'll use one of mine. What do you
Maybe.
think?
Never
Hey,
know.
all right. Question number 2: NBA All-Star ending. The Elam ending. How they changed the way that the fourth quarter was played
Yeah.
this year. Thumbs up. Turning the clock off. Thumbs
Mhm.
up or thumbs down?
Both, and I'll give you like kind of my reasoning behind that. I think it's a great idea to have that be kind of the ending to the game. It's like a pickup game. It's more intense.
Yep.
People saw the intensity go way up. It was one of the best all star games and fit endings to an all star game in a very long time. People actually really enjoyed watching it, and I think that it shouldn't have ended on a free throw.
Yep.
I think that should be a rule that I think Adam Silver would clearly, or the NBAPA would change very quickly. But I think in the future they will have a set number for who knows what reason. Obviously, next year they're probably not going to do the 24 for Kobe,
Yep.
but who knows what number they'll choose next.
Yep.
Um, but I think that it's a good idea to have the number. It just makes it more pickup, makes it more intense. I like it. Yeah.
It definitely changed the engagement at that level. And I know there's youth tournaments that even have used that. Just they ultimately want to try to keep people engaged and basically take all the craziness of clock management
Right.
at the end of games. So, all right, last one, and you got to have an opinion.
All right.
David Stern, Adam Silver, best commissioner.
David Stern. He's just done so much for the game, and I've met Adam Silver. I love Adam Silver. He's done so many amazing things for the creativity, for the growth of the NBA in the last 5 years or so. But David Stern, the way he was able to turn the NBA around, it was really, people don't really don't understand. But in the late '70s, early '80s, the NBA was really struggling. Nobody was paying attention. It was bad. It was drug riddled. It was, people were betting and fixing games. There was so much happening in the NBA, and David Stern came in and was able to turn the clock around with the help of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Giving a large fandom back to the NBA, but he developed the WNBA. He developed, growth overseas in China, and is the reason why the NBA is growing exponentially overseas, all over the world. So I would have to say David Stern for now, but could change in the future.
It could. Silver's going to be around for a little while. I mean, there's no question he has built the business of the NBA in the last how many ever years, 4 or 5 years. All right, last one, and this has got to be a one-word answer. I already know your answer, to be honest, but
Michael Jordan.
I was going to say Michael Jordan or LeBron.
Michael.
Yeah, Michael all the way. All right, Ian, hey, thank you for taking the time and giving us some insights. I think there's great value in this and appreciate your willingness to do it. So closing off from my virtual Bernice Hansen Center, Professor Scott Huckabee, Cornerstone University. Hey, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank